Day everyone, I am Kyla May Buita. Today, I will discuss the table of specification. So, table of specification is something that we have already discussed from our past courses, which is the 2S Prof Ed 08 assessment and evaluation. So, this is something that is important because we can use it in our other subjects, and also this term as we will have our course and also connected to the other course that we are taking here in this term. So what is table of specification? So table of specification is our test blueprint. It is a tool that we use to ensure that the test assessment that we measure is connected to the content or the test objectives that we are intended to measure. It is also commonly connected in creating traditional summative tests, such as um, periodical exam. Next. So why is it important? Table of specification help teachers to identify the types of items they needed to include in their test. So it creates a balance and a comprehensive assessment by mapping out the content and cognitive skills that is needed in creating a test assessment. And also, it ensures that the coverage of the test is something that is really needed, or something that we have taught to our students. It prevents from creating a repetitive questions or random questions in our test assessment. So it specifies the cognitive levels from recall to evaluation using that Bloom's taxonomy. It gives validity, reliability, and transparency. So one of the purpose of table of specification is to check the validity of the test or assessment that we created. So according to Fives and Barnes, it helps to ensure the validity of an evaluation by aligning the test items with the intended content, skills, or learning objectives. So without it, some tests might be too hard or too easy for our students. Why? One of the reason of it is because the test that we created is not connected to what we taught to them. Maybe the test that we created is too easy because it is a repetitive questions that they have already encountered um, a lot of times. And also, it why it gives transparency, because it gives an evidence that what the test assessment that we give to our student is something essential and also part of the process of them learning, and it is a part of us to ensure that what we taught to them is something that they have really learned, or we can see or test if the topic that we taught to our students have been successfully learned by them. Next is the table of okay. Next is these are the things that we should remember in creating the table of specification. So remember that before we created table of specification, it should we should first analyze or identify how many numbers or items we will create. Then by that, we will distribute those items to the objectives and also to the cognitive level to ensure the balance of our test assessment. So next, so now let us see the example in the of table of specification in the context of GMRC. Okay, so now let us see the example of table specification in the first grading of GMRC grade 1. So as we can see, nandito yung learning competency, the days, on how many days it was taught to the students, item placement, and also the number of placement in the objective. So in this assessment or in this table of specification, it was 30 items. 30 items. So one of the rule in creating table of specification is that kung ilang percentage ang meron or kung ilang araw ito itinuro or kung ilang oras ito itinuro, ganun din dapat kadami yung item placement na ibinigay. So, ibig sabihin, if it is 50%, it should also be 50% in the item placement. So, it could create a balance in the table of specification. So, as you can see, balance siya. Bakit? Kasi 5 araw siya itinuro. So, sa item placement, 5 item din yung ibinigay nila doon sa objective. Same with the other objectives or the learning competencies. 5, so 5 din yung binigay na items. So and as you can see, sa learning cognition or sa item placement, most of them is nakalagay sa remembering, understanding, and applying. Since yung mga students na magkukuha ng test na ito ay nasa grade 1. Kasi, in making a table of specification, isa din sa tatandaan natin is yung mga students na sasagot dito. So, if your students are more in the more key stages, analysis and evaluation could be more applicable.